Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, boxing and MMA fans from around the world. Introducing from Bassett, California, the third man in the ring, Popeye Ray.
Hey, welcome to Third Man in the Ring. Today we got an awesome guest today, a living legend. His father was a legend. Today we're going to interview Jimmy Lennon Jr. Jimmy Lennon, come on in, Jen. How you doing,
Ray,
Jimmy?
good to be with you.
Wow,
good to
awesome,
be with
awesome
you again,
to have
my friend.
Let me tell you something, guys. Me as a referee, when I heard my name by Jimmy Lennon Jr., when he introduced me, I almost felt like I arrived, you know. But hey, God is good, man. But Jimmy, tell the fans a little bit how you grew up.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you for your persistence in getting this together.
Yeah, I bugged the heck out of him.
And your patience as well. Yeah, but I'm so glad to be with you finally.
Thank you,
it's really
thank you.
Good.
I'm sure the fans are loving it too.
Sure. Well, thank you. Yeah, you know, I grew up in the West Side, the son of a well-known boxing announcer. I used to go to the fights and wrestling when I was a kid.
Yes.
I remember, you know, sometimes I even had little, like, my 6-year birthday party we had at the Olympic Auditorium.
Wow.
You know, watching the wrestling and had my buddies there. And so I grew up with that, watching him on TV. And, you know, I thought everyone's dad was on TV. We'd, you know, he'd be on TV, we'd watch him and maybe turn the channel, maybe keep watching. I just thought it was normal.
Thought it was a regular, huh?
It was normal. But that's a big part of my upbringing. A lot of my sports heroes were fighters and wrestlers.
Oh, okay.
So I just loved it. I loved the sport. I never had an intention to follow in his footsteps, but it happened kind of naturally. Maybe destiny played a role in that.
Yeah. So how was your growing up though? I mean, where did you grow up at?
Yeah, I'm born in Santa Monica, grew up, went through all the public high schools, public schools there, elementary, junior high, and high school. I was always the smallest kid in my class. And I'm talking big classes, you know, we had about 1,000 people in my high school class.
Big surfers over there as well, huh?
Surfers, everything, but I was always the small, so I blossomed a little bit later. I'm still, you know, on the small side, but that's the way it was. And so I had, but I love sports, and I love to surprise people that I could play sports pretty well despite being on the smaller side. So baseball and volleyball and basketball. Do
you have brothers, Jimmy?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister as well. I'm the youngest. And you know what's interesting, Ray, is that my dad having 2 kids before in his previous marriage and then 3 kids, I'm the youngest. For some reason, he waited to name the junior the youngest kid.
Oh, that's crazy.
Now, I have a son, and my first son, there's no way I'm going to risk it. You know, he's going to be James the Third and Jimmy the Third. But for some reason, so as I said, there was a destiny or a calling to follow in his footsteps, that I was the youngest and named the junior. And by far looked the most like him, took after him, not only in looks, but somewhat in personality as well. And so it was really, you know, something that came later in my life that was meant to be.
So Jimmy, tell me, what did Dad encourage you to be an announcer? Did it happen by accident? How did that come about?
Yeah, it came about, so I went to UCLA also as a young man.
Go Bruins, right?
Go Bruins.
That's right.
And, you know, I studied psychology and I studied education. And when I graduated, I couldn't find a job. And so I was scrambling around, and my dad bribed me, paid me $20 to go and interview the fighters, to go with him to the fights and interview the fighters. And so I needed that. $20 meant a lot to me. So I went.
Back then, huh?
Yeah, sure. So I went and interviewed the fighters, and eventually he said, well, you know, let's get your suit on, and next time, how do you introduce the fighters? I can't remember if the pay was increased at that point.
Yeah.
But I was pretty nervous. But, you know, people were appreciative and supportive. They loved him so much.
Yeah.
And they appreciated me being there. And so some of the earliest fights were at the Olympic Auditorium and at the Forum in Inglewood. And then,
what did you do, like the undercards?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do an undercard fight or two, and then a few more. And then I started to do amateur boxing tournaments where, you know, you'd get 25 fights in a night. And, you know, it was I think it was in Burbank, and it was at the Hilton Hotel, and it was outdoors in the garden area by the pool. And I just, every weekend was doing more and more fights, and I became much more comfortable. And I was very appreciative of the support that I got, that people thought I was doing okay. And it so kind of took off. Then we worked together more, my father and I. And periodically we'd have to go to two separate places where he would do one fight and I'd do another.
Were you a little nervous without Dad there?
No, I think, I didn't really rely on him so much.
Yeah.
I think I became much more comfortable as I was doing a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Probably in your profession as well. Yeah. You become a lot more comfortable as you do more. But let me tell you, one of the first fights where we did separate fights, I happened to get the opportunity to announce Julio Cesar Chavez versus Asabache Martinez at the Olympic Auditorium, which was Chavez's first world title fight. So my first world title fight was his as well.
Yeah.
And so I was.
That's one for the record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
one
a
that
history.
I'll remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're just gonna take a moment for our sponsors. We appreciate you. And again, if you want to come on and sponsor me, send me an email at thirdmanintheringpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to HDC Construction in Ontario, California. They're a national leader in commercial construction with a proven track record of expertise in cold storage solutions and epoxy flooring. Their team works closely with you to efficiently meet all compliance standards while maintaining budget commitments and completing projects on time. HDC Construction works with Fortune 500 companies and small businesses throughout the country in the areas of steel stud framing, refrigeration panels, dock doors, comprehensive drain systems, fire sprinklers, block walls, and much more. For bids, quotes, or a free consultation, call 909-626-0214 or visit their website at www.hdconstruction.com. Ralph Sarabia and his wife Jody Sarabia are the founders of Putazos. They started Putazos to reach the veteran community who is currently losing 22 vets a day to suicide. Ralph and his unit, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, lost over 15 guys while serving in Iraq. He wanted to share with you that whether you fight physical or mental battles, it ain't over yet. With that said, Putazos has developed high-end boxing gloves that have been approved by State Athletic Commission to be in pro fights. If you want a boxing glove that's inspired by patriotism and is battle-tested, check them out at putazosfightapparel.com. And just keep in mind that a portion of Putazos proceeds will go to the Semper Fi Fund, which helps wounded warriors. Also, we want to give another shout out to Valley Mission Builders. Valley Mission Builders is a general building company with over 3 generations of construction experience. They specialize in all phases of home construction, new home building, remodeling, room additions, and ADU and guest units. They can assist with planning and designing to complete construction. They service the greater Los Angeles area and Ventura counties, including the San Fernando Valley. Give Valley Mission Builders a call for a free consultation.
So what was your biggest fight? Do you think it was that one, the first one, or?
Oh, absolutely.
You've done so many mega fights, and again, I'm not blowing smoke. You are the face of boxing. You are,
that's kind.
When they see, when us older guys, when we remember senior and now junior, it's almost like it was just an even flow,
Yeah. That makes me feel so good. Thank you for saying that.
Man.
Makes me feel good, and I sense that from people that there's an important and long-term connection.
Yeah.
I guess now that I think about it, there's been a Lennon in the ring for some 75 years, maybe. Something like that.
I remember at the Olympic Auditorium, we'd go see. I don't know if it was in the same night. I don't remember, but I think your dad even did a couple roller derby announcements, or somewhere, because I remember we'd go see roller derby and somehow I'd see senior, or a boxing match, it was senior, or what else though?
Wrestling,
the wrestling
for sure.
The wrestling. I used to see the Kenji Chibuya and Freddie Blassie.
Oh yeah.
All these guys, and I'd see your dad.
Bobo Brazil and
yes.
Mil Mascaras.
And again, let me make it about me right now. When you said my name, I think it was ESPN fight. I could be wrong. And you said, in the third man in the ring, Ray Corona, Wow, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
That sounds
great.
cool. You know, that's awesome.
Oh, I appreciate
Yeah,
that. That means
yeah.
a lot to me. But you asked the biggest fight I ever did, and you know, at the time it sure was Chavez versus Asabache Martinez. But and Chavez, through many of his careers, would rank up there, and maybe the biggest fight I've ever done. But you know, the Tyson fights were fun.
Yes.
I did do his first loss to Buster Douglas in Tokyo. That was my first trip to Asia.
Okay.
To do a fight, and that was just a great experience. A strange fight, and many of his other fights, of course, the ear bite as well. But the biggest fight I always point to is Chavez versus Haugen in Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. 135,000 people in attendance for that fight. Unbelievable.
And on that
amazed.
note, Jimmy, do you speak Spanish?
You know, I
Because it seems to roll off.
I work hard at it, like as
Yeah.
my father taught me, to make it important to pronounce it correctly. I did study Spanish, and so I can get by okay.
You can get by.
I can get by, yeah.
You can order your dinner all right, right?
I can do my
That's
dinner.
right, that's
I can
right.
get around town. I can make friends.
So where in the world have you been? Just drop a few countries there.
Yeah, I know. It's been, I think it is 35 different countries. I'll be going to Australia on Monday to do a fight, but I've been there before. But yeah, Singapore, I've been to Tokyo, Thailand, I should have said Japan, not Tokyo, and South America, of course, you know, I've been to Brazil and in Argentina,
Wow.
Ecuador,
Wow.
and Central America with Colombia and Venezuela and Mexico and Europe, a lot of places in Europe,
Yeah,
France
yeah.
and Italy and
And
England.
they're not always televised, are they?
Yes,
Pretty much they are, though. no?
But they might be locally televised, more
okay.
more of a big deal locally.
Okay, and do you do anything besides ring announcing?
Yeah, I didn't really tell you that aspect of my career also. While I was learning to be a ring announcer, which took place in the evenings and weekends primarily, I also studied education and I became a teacher. I became a teacher for junior and senior high school, and that was really a passion of my life. I tell you, I didn't really care if I got paid for it. I enjoyed working with young people. I felt that was a real calling for me. And I
Being a teacher could be a little rough, no?
It can be rough, but you know, I worked at a small private school. It was a Christian school,
okay.
and the classes were small, a lot of support, and I just loved it. I taught for 20-some years and then became the principal of the school. And so that's what I did in the meantime.
Principal. Jimmy Lennon, the principal.
Yeah.
Imagine when he calls you to the office, huh? How that sounds. Huh? That's one name you wouldn't want to hear from the principal.
Well, I wish I could have done the morning announcements. We didn't have
Yeah,
that
yeah.
system, but that would have been awful fun. But I enjoyed that as well. But teaching was really my calling and my forte. And I enjoyed doing it until it became a little bit hard where I couldn't do both at the same time because you know, I had good assistants, so when I left, they could take over.
Yeah.
But it just became a little bit hard. I couldn't do both, so I
Yeah,
had to
that
make
could
a
get
choice.
hectic. Yeah, that could get hectic.
So I haven't been in the school for 10, 12 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, Jimmy, I got a couple of questions from some fans here, if you don't mind.
No.
So, Joe Leva, who do you think ranks the top 5 ring announcers? I know, as humble as you are, I'll let you answer it, but I would put you and your dad on first 2 right there.
Well, in the top 5, I'd be honored to be in that list. My dad certainly,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
always put number 1. Certainly Michael Buffer. And, you know, I think, you know, you look at Ed Darien and Chuck Hull as real possibility, as real, you know, top name ring announcers. So that's a group of 5. So
And
I'm
I
not going to put. I'm
I
not
know
going to put.
they're
it over.
honored for you even mention them, you know.
Well.
And another question from Javier Ordaz. How much and how long do you rehearse before a fight, and have you ever messed up?
Oh, that's a really good question, Javier. Yes, I have messed up, and I hate making mistakes. Fortunately, I've never made a huge mistake like announcing the wrong winner or complete. But I have had nightmares that I've done. I've had nightmares. I tell you one thing, that I'm announcing someone, and I don't know their name. I lost my card and I don't know their name, and so nightmares with that. So, but I do really rehearse in my mind on myself a lot, and the reason why is I feel like my last performance is how my entire career is judged, and so I really put a lot of importance on what I'm doing right now. Tomorrow I got to fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to run it through my head and so forth and practice it and make sure I have it correctly so it seems effortless and hopefully I don't make a mistake.
It's funny you say that because our own Jack and Tom, they say the same thing to us. They say, hey, you only remember for your last fight. Look, you're these guys right now, man. Yeah. They got the big fight tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's no way you got Jimmy Lennon Jr. to do this without paying him because he wouldn't come to me. So if I find out he got paid, I want money, okay?
That's right,
Just want to say something.
It's only fair.
Two top referees in the world right here.
He will take payment in chocolate, though.
That's right.
I know you.
Dark chocolate.
You are a true legend, and the thing I like about you the best, you've always been a gentleman and always professional. That's one thing about you that's just top above everybody else. So thank you for being
Thank you, Jack.
Jimmy
Very kind of you.
Lennon Jr.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you, Jack.
Second, those statements are big time. And just a real quick thing I had about Jimmy, and then I'll let you go. But as big as he is, my first time ever that I did an event with Jimmy, he came up to me and asked me, he's looking at his card, do you go by Tom or Thomas? I told him I go by Thomas. But here, it gets better. I don't see him again for 3 years. How many fights has he done since those 3 years, right?
Imagine.
Come into the ring, he comes up to me as we're getting ready to do the announcement. He goes, they have you down here as Tom, but I know you like to go by Thomas, don't you? That was 3 years ago. But it talks of his professionalism and just how serious he takes his craft in. Again, it's always a pleasure working with you, Jimmy.
Thomas, you're great.
See you, Ray.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. You know what he said is so true. Everyone should have their name pronounced properly the way they want it to. So that's taught to me by my father. That's so important.
We would also like to thank our newest sponsor, Twitch Boxing Equipment. You can count on them to provide you with all of your boxing equipment needs. They have all major brands in stock and are ready to ship. They also have their own label, Twitch Boxing Equipment. They offer a wide variety of gloves, wraps, and all the tools needed to elevate your development. You can follow them on Instagram at Twitch Boxing Equipment, and you can also pick up some Twitch boxing gear at some of the local clubs here in the Inland Empire. We want to also thank our friends at Kelstar Roofing. Kelstar Roofing specializes in residential roofing, installing concrete roofing tiles, and composition asphalt shingles. They have been serving the Inland Empire for over 31 years. Call on Kelstar Roofing for all of your roofing needs. Thank our friends at CJ Smiles. CJ Smiles is an organization that supports families dealing with childhood cancer by providing financial support and gifts with the hope of putting a smile to children with fighting cancer. CJ Smiles started in memory of CJ Delfossi, who was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma in 2019. CJ loved to laugh, tell jokes, play soccer, and video games. He had the best smile. For 2.5 years, he battled cancer with chemotherapy, radiation, multiple procedures, extensive hospital stays, and had relapsed twice. CJ gained his angel wings at the age of 10 years old. This sponsor, when it came in, it pulled some heartstrings, I have to admit. I'm an oncology nurse, and this one hit home. So again, it pulled my heartstrings, and I really want to thank you guys for your support and what you do in the community.
So our next question is Butch from Chino Sinners. He's not a sinner no more, he's a Christian. Eh? Butch from Chino Sinners. He wants to know, Jimmy, what is your greatest accomplishment in your career? If you had to nail it down right today, you know what I mean?
Ah, wow.
That's a hard one. Huh?
It's really hard because I approach, people have asked me, am I going to retire or when and so forth, and
Please don't.
I know, I love it so much, and I just take one day at a time and everything, and I feel like I've been so fortunate to be where I am. I mean, I am very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing, and there are times I don't feel like I deserve to be so fortunate. I'm really blessed.
No, we're blessed.
And I feel that. So when I talk about accomplishment, I love the idea, some of the big fights I've done, to be involved. And, the Chavez-Haugen, 135,000, not too long ago, 93,000 for a Tyson Fury fight in London. So some of these big fights and being involved with Tyson, I'm not sure if that's accomplishment. I feel like that's a gift.
Yeah,
so,
you're blessed. You're blessed.
But even more so, I look at my teaching career as more important. Some of the things to be able to affect lives of young people and to be involved with them, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
More important
I
to me.
remember some of my 3rd and 4th grade teachers. So a teacher has a major influence on a child, and as they get older, they learn and they remember things like that. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
Hope
awesome.
for that too.
So, Jimmy, I know it's a short and sweet, but anything you want the fans to know, and anything?
Boy, I appreciate the time to talk to you. You've asked some good questions. You had some good questions passed on during this time. It's just an honor to be involved in this sport. It's a sport that helps so many people, that provides so much excitement and interest. And, you know, I like that it takes a lot of people. It doesn't matter what nationality you are, male or female, if you're big or small, the hard work pays off and takes men and women and makes them better men and women so much of the time. So I'm fortunate to be involved in the sport, and would encourage
We're so
anyone,
blessed to have you, man.
Well, thanks.
I mean,
I encourage anyone who's
again, I can't say it enough. When you hear your name, even as a fighter, my own son's a professional fighter, and which I stress out, but he always says, that'd be cool when Jimmy says my name. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? To have your name announced by Jimmy Lennon Jr., it's like, you feel like you've arrived, you know? But yeah, thank you. You know what, Jimmy, I know it was short, I know you have to get to work, but thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. God's luck in your career as it's going, and thank you again.
You're very kind, Ray. I look forward to introducing you the 3rd man in the ring
That's right.
tomorrow night.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, fam. God bless.